We're shooting another segment today on the violent extremist hand. This is completely unscripted. It's off the top of my head. If you didn't catch my last video 6 weeks ago, there's been new developments. And if you've been following the media that report this in the false light, like in the third-party context, they don't want to tell you the truth in English. I mean, it would ruin everybody's day, like the government, your president, your governors, your FBI, and all your law enforcement agencies. If you weren't up to date on the last video, I told you how the government put a mind-reading chip in my forearm back in 2005, and you can call it crazy or whatever else. If I say anything in a courtroom or anything, or to anybody, I end up in a mental institution. You just have to catch that last video. It's on America Arena Facebook. But in the last 6 weeks, we've had a lot of new developments. After that video, they overtook my little community of 2,000 people and showed their violent extremist intent. Your children were the scope of that. Due to my thousands of complaints I filed against law enforcement, judges, attorneys, mental health professionals, the kidnapping of me and the human trafficking, the cover-up. And we're having another cover-up because in the last 6 weeks, they have, I just really don't know how to explain this to you, to give you that full example of what I'm trying to say to you. They have high-tech, delusional scenarios, and I'll just give you an example of one. On August 30th, on a Friday morning, they had a delusional scenario of a teenage woman strapped to a saw, and they was going to saw her in half if I didn't go over there and give them my hand and let them burn me alive. We're calling this segment Jesus Got Off Easy. If you remember that story, over 2,000 years ago, where the church is and the government and all the political leaders got together, there's like, if we let this man go, he's gonna start a movement, and everybody's gonna start following. He was healing people, preaching the gospel, and here we are today, all these years later, and if you've been following it in the media for the last 10 years, because it's been in there, there's indisputable evidence that I have a relationship with God that's beyond your comprehension. And I know that sounds crazy, and this whole thing sounds crazy, and they love the craziness part of it because that's what they do to me. They put me in situations where I have no choice but to either commit a crime, hurt somebody, fight somebody, and then I get arrested, I get charged. And if I say what really happened, I end up in a mental institution. And I did. I just spent 3 weeks in the county jail. I had to throw a rock through a window and make sure it was a felony, just so I could end up in a town, a community, because I went to a bigger city after I left Minneapolis. They couldn't handle this. Didn't understand if really were going to. They were in hostage businesses going to be hired. I seen them kidnapped. I seen cops dead. And they're forced during the day, but at night, me to my own demise. And there's no sleeping behind anything like a window. There's no laying against a building without an awning on it because you can pour gas and stuff like that on you. But I'm gonna go ahead and get to how this all started. It all started in 1999, as in the other video, when I was charged in my business as being a fraud, and they violated the law and they covered it up and wouldn't tell the truth. That's just those 1,000 criminal complaints I filed against cops, judges, attorneys, lawyers. They don't represent you, and mental health professionals, because they just love locking me up in a mental institution. And see, the focus of hand's extreme is he takes this group, takes your children hostage, women hostage, and they have such a high-tech effect on the community that the people think they have no alternative but to not say nothing, because they won't speak this in English. They won't allow anybody to talk about this in the open. Well, see, they take your kids hostage and you turn around and tell me, well, you got to save my kid. And they want me to cut off my arm. They want my leg. They want to beat me with poles. They want to cut off my face now and burn my face and zip my mouth shut. Really, this is it. They was threatening to throw me in a box just 4 weeks ago. And the night before the box was going on for a couple of days, but then just a few days, 3 weeks ago, an officer pulled up in a parking lot I was in about 2 o'clock in the morning and said, yeah, I don't know what game, but I have no choice but to believe that's exactly what those cops would allow happen too, because in the last, oh gosh, this has been going on for at least 7 years in different areas. Vegas, Kansas in December 2021 through March 2022, Florida, California. But here we are now, and as soon as I did the last video, they said, oh, you're going to recycle that, huh? And I'm like, well, that or we let it all just go into the, brush it under the carpet. And that's what the government has been doing. We got a local agency called the Kansas Bureau of Investigations here in Kansas. We got a governor's office, got a national defense, National Guard. And sure, they show up when you're around, but like in the mornings and the afternoon, y'all, oh, we're gonna keep him safe. Yeah, well, you all go home and go to sleep at night, right? Yeah, and everybody abandons the poor man being hunted, which I ain't got no problem with it. The only problem I got is they won't allow me to fight back, and I don't have the funding to fight this war myself. I know what I need. I need one of them robots that's out that, you hit on and they don't fall over. We just watched a segment on them the other day. And, they're what, $20,000? And an armored car, so I can sleep at night. So like if I'm in a motel or living somewhere, those doors are pretty flimsy, and these people will literally steal a car and truck, van, what have not, and put a mask on, and they'll come up in any motel or anywhere. And I've seen them take motels hostages already. I've heard through national security, Homeland Security, FBI, stuff, because they are watching. They watch, but they don't do nothing. And I've been told, they've taken these women upstairs, or the motel owners' wives, and raped them. That was in 2021. And, if I allow myself to get hurt, nobody else, telling the president on his knees and give his arm up if foreign countries don't get their way in your country. Well, I'm pretty sure this is all foreign intent somehow to take over your country, because these people are really taking over your country, because they law enforcement's not doing nothing. And I have also seen a spin factor to it, because it all originates around issues like that You'll see in the fall, you know, telling about what they're talking about. That's some pull grass. I don't know the extent of the works that TV, you know, through channel telling, but exactly how those nets, other things operate. They can lift up. And we last night on, I can't remember what the story, but you know, the illusion, and they really can concrete up out and slam down on you. They could rip your buildings apart all through this electrical grid that is established. Power lines to run, they run that net way down the power line trying to catch me. You know, I've learned all the tricks, but sometimes you got to sleep, and when you're being hunted like that, there's no sleep. And so the cops want to sit back and want to arrest you for a nickel bag or doing a line or something because, well, you're staying up. Well, I don't know how you want to fight a bunch of extremists every day, you know. Expect to pick up, you get in court, stuff like that, but they want it. It's all crazy. No, high. All of you people that want me to cut off my hand or give my life for your children, and you ain't even standing, why don't you your own life? Because you're punks, okay? You're a bunch of cowards. You see, you don't want to lay your life down for your country. You're going to let these people get their way because you're not man enough to say, hey, you know what? Let's get together here and put a stop to this and make an issue of it in English to stop what's happening to other people's kids. They are outnumbered, you know, but how do you attack something that the government should be doing? You know, you've seen it on TV 100 times. If somebody goes in somewhere with a gun, you see them come out, they're SWAT, you see them come out with their robotic dogs, and you know, and they're you know, they put on a big show of force. But now, when these high-tech scenarios happen that put you in fear and your children are seeing it every day, you know, they're watching it. They know what's happening. They know they're being threatened. You see, they're watching, right? And you see, that's what we're showing you here. You see, they're watching the show, but they're not smiling. They're in fear for their life. Some of them are smiling because they don't understand the effects of it. But they have shown, the government has, that they have no interest in resolving this issue, like taking a stand against what's happening. And what I've seen is with the nets, their gas, literally they show big bags of gas effect, but it's really true because they have equipment, you know, that give you that delusional effect, but they have the ability to do stuff that's beyond your comprehension. And I've seen it. I even seen them try it. Actually, one time they actually attempted to catch me in a dark corner one time, and use that net when nobody was looking. And once they get me in the net, you know, they want to take me and put me in a van and cut me up, take me to a warehouse, whatever. It's the same scenario every time. It just the point of death. You know, this really is Jesus got off easy compared to what these people have planned for me. And I've never done nothing to nobody. I mean, yeah, I might have said some crazy stuff here or there to wrong people, but I've never been violent in my life. I've never hurt nobody. I have no intent to hurt anybody. I mean, but I'm taking my stand. You see, and I don't know if you people in this country, you know, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, you know, all them high-powered rich people, man. You know, they got the money sitting there in their pockets. And I'm willing to fight the fight. You know, they even got the robots. They got the armored car, you know, where I can sleep at night. I'd love to go to war with hand on their level. You know, flamethrower to see if we can burn. Last night we seen fire burning on this grass in this park. I guess it's on TV. I just don't know where it was. I was at my buddy's friend's house watching it. But it showed that maybe you could burn this stuff. And if nothing else, you'd want to carry wire cutters. But the point is, nobody's taking a stand here. I mean, not a stand in the fact that, hey, let's go over here and fight this war that the government, the National Guard, the Pentagon, and everybody ain't taking a stand against. As I said about that grid, about the electrical grid and the spin is, you see, then they want to spin it later. They're going to, and you'll see it in the media that, oh, let's go to solar power. Yeah, right. You want to drive your car on top of a battery now with acid in it? In 2019, I was in Vegas, and old Hand was following me around with what we called Red Rock. It was insulation, like styrofoam mixed into chemical and stuff like that, and hey, we're going to pour it on you. So like across the building, you know, these people, they got people, man. They go right up to casinos, threaten to get those buildings or a casino. Not even a casino, it could be any building. You know, I walk down a sidewalk, and if I walk down the middle of the street, I get told up, you know, even in the median. You know, that everybody's calling the cop. Hey, we got a nut out here. They're trying to get me arrested for being a nut. It's been happening so many times, it's unreal. I'm not allowed to protect myself. They won't even let me carry a knife. They take that stuff away from me. But they have overcome this country, man. And how many times do you let them do it? You let them do it in Vegas. You let them do it in Kansas in 2021. Here you're doing it again in the last 6 weeks. And you all know they're threatening your kids, and you write that stuff on their police Facebook pages and their public social media accounts, and you're all talking in the third party context. Oh, thanks for saving. No, they didn't save you. Why don't you tell them what they didn't do? I mean, are you just going to let them take your whole lives from you? Because you're giving up your bank accounts, you're giving up your property. And I don't think you understand where this is going. They are telling you they're going to take everything you got. And you people are sitting back allowing that to happen. And like I said, if I give up my life, who's going to fight this battle for you? Who else you got that's going to stand here and make this video out and speak it in English? And when you can't you saw them churches with all them cameras? Huh? Yeah. All them godly people? Yeah. You remember Jesus? Yeah. They let him go too. Yeah. And they'll talk that stuff. Oh, thanks for dying for my sins. Yeah, your sins. Because y'all knew this was happening. You got your church and all those intelligence agencies. Which one? FBI, Homeland Security? What? You got all them people that, oh, I'm godly. You ain't a godly nothing, man. You are some fucking scandalous punks, man. You people are a part of the friggin', you have associated yourself as a part of the cover-up, and it's been shown forever now. It's been shown for the last 6 years non-stop, man, that the government does not care. And these churches got all these cameras too. They ain't nobody saying nothing. All them media people, yeah, they're talking about it, but is any of them telling you the truth? They took the White House. They had Joe Biden on his friggin' knees in 2021. They were sitting there showing you right there, and the White House, and you can pull up the videos about between December 2021 through March. There's little friggin' Hand, the little delusional high-tech getting your head stuff, you know, right there in the White House. Little punk-ass He'd been in there with Obama when they told me they was going to prosecute a racketeering, influence, corrupt organization case. They sent me into those hospitals. They told me to take drugs. They told me to commit crimes. So they said we was prosecuting a RICO conspiracy and that we was going to take the land from these people. And these people have never stood up since and handled this matter. And here we are today, me shooting the video of me telling you what's going on in the world. And how do we get back to civilization? Where do we start this war, and who's going to fund this war? I got no problem fighting it, but should I be shooting cheap videos? Shouldn't I be putting out the high-tech stuff? You know, I don't got the money for that. I don't have money to do what needs. I don't have the money for my security. I need security, and I would love to go to war with these people on their level. I would love to see how their nets work, how they would pick up the dirt and the ground and pull down concrete with nothing but a thin wire. These people in 2021, 2022, in Salina, Kansas, that's what we're referring to, and you can check the records that every cop covered it up. When they took the Minneapolis Police Department hostage just 6 weeks ago, when they took them hostage, these cops turned off their body cams, man. They shut off the cameras in their lobby of the jail. They even invited me into the jail so I could see it. And the cop told me I was going to die on my Harley, you know, whatever. Even if he was kidding, he said they was going to reconstruct they even showed me the picture of reconstructing my face and sewing my mouth shut. They was even going to put fucking some young girl's DNA on me and tell me I did something friggin' wrong. I ain't done nothing to nobody. And here they are. They went out and started kidnapping kids, terrorizing the community. At the town, they didn't understand what was happening. The first night it started happening, I was like, take my life, man. I don't want the community to suffer what's happening. And I'll let that happen because they were scared anyway. You have no alternative but to bow to these, what law enforcement says is you're up against a brick wall. Yeah, I'm up against a brick wall because you ain't SWAT vehicles and you ain't brought out that technology, and your military ain't sitting out here showing a show of force and explaining or cutting down them power lines or shutting the electricity off so it doesn't work. I mean, it's not a friggin' genius deal. Oh, tell the people to keep their kids in after 9 o'clock. Keep a hand on them. Tell them not to go to school. Don't go out in public. Yeah, curfews, you got it. Hey, open up your coliseums, man. Let's have a friggin' safe zone when these people hit. Now, there ain't nobody doing nothing. They're letting you be scared to death because they've never, ever, I ain't never found a cop ever to tell the truth. They never tell the truth. And this all started in California in 2004. I was head of outreach ministries for the Assemblies of God Church, taking care of these people in a motel. They had wore out shoes and holes in their clothes and dirty and filthy. And here I got them up in a motel room paying their bill. And they said, and this is like really before the internet stuff, and they said, Craig, we know all about those cases in Kansas. And I'm like, what do you know about those federal cases in Kansas? And that's where they locked me up over my business, and I went to war with the state of Kansas. It's in my first video. And here these people are, and I'm like, I'm taking care of you, and you know something about my cases that I got going on in Kansas? And what the deal is, they locked me up in the Ellsworth County Jail and maliciously prosecute me. Every time I go to jail, they lock me in a cell and close the door on it and don't let me out. No recreation, nothing. And if it is, it's for an hour. You know, that's where all these complaints come from. That's where the tightness in my voice is sometimes. I ain't drinking my orange juice today like I was in my last video. And what we have is these people said, I said, who are you? And they said, we're super cops. Well, I kind of figured out later that it's probably related to the DEA, but because they stuck me in a DEA cell before Governor Kathleen Sebelius. I was in the Ellsworth County Jail. Let me back this up so you don't think I'm crazy and get you all lost. Charged with criminal deception of I exerted money in my business over $5,000. $5,000 was paid back, by the way, too. But theft by deception. And Joe Shepak, the malicious person, you can't get no more malicious than Ellsworth County, Kansas. Tracy Plouts and these people are they're dirty malicious, and there ain't no getting nothing. But anyway, I did the time, and I was supposed to go to prison, and I had another charge in another county for the same thing in McPherson, Kansas. What happened is they didn't send me to McPherson, Kansas because I only had a $1,000 bond. I would have bonded out, or they didn't send me to prison because all I had to do was go there and get a number. I'd have been immediately released. So, it'd have been like, I'd have been there for 24 hours and I'd have been released from DOC, and then I'd had to go back to this other county and I'd have paid the $1,000. No, they went ahead and took me to McPherson and they offered me a time-served plea. And I really don't want to get into this because the whole extremes of it, we're already at 26 minutes. The last video was 31 or 32 minutes. But we ended up back in Salina, and I'll tell you how messed up it was, and that was way before all this media stuff. I was in jail in Salina, and I guess this was back when that was good, I guess, because I was sitting in a cell, and one day they come to my cell and said, "Craig, you got somebody to come get you? Our computers are down." And I looked at that man, and I'm supposed to be I'm sentenced to prison in 2 counties and got a no bail hold out of another county. And I'm like, seriously? And I got charges right here in Salina, Kansas. And what happened is I walked out of that jail, but I had a court date 46 days later in the district court, and I showed back up in that courthouse. I think I was supposed to run. Maybe they would have buried it underneath paperwork like they did for Dodge City. You don't know about it, but I ain't even going to get into Dodge City. I'm going to get back to, I did the prison time. I ended up going back to jail, and then they sent me to prison, and I did a few years. I became the head law clerk of the prison. I've been filing papers, and I was filing papers during the 46 days that I was out of jail before I went back after they released me and said their computers were down. They were righteous in. I guess they knew I owned a business and I was legit. And I mean, it was right there where they had to drive by it every day to get to their homes. But I went to prison, and I'm getting out of prison, and that Ellsworth County district attorney said I violated my plea agreement by filing a lawsuit, an appeal, and a writ of habeas corpus. And it said right in my plea agreement, where I paid them the $5,000 and pled guilty to get the heck away from them, they brought me back. But what happened is they got into a conspiracy that uncovered in California, that they claimed I was a parole violator out of California, and I wasn't. And they let the time elapse is what is, and they ended up in a conspiracy with the California Department of Corrections. I did do time in California. Yes, I was guilty of those charges, but what the deal is, I wouldn't have been in California had it not they did to me in 1990, because I was running from the law enforcement because I get all went to court, but they overturned, saying my attorney was ineffective back in 1998. And I hope you're all following this. I know it's really back and forth here, but what I'm getting at is they got in a conspiracy with California that I uncovered, and they sent me to California knowing that what they did. And I got to California, and I spent some time in the couple months in holding, waiting for a parole violators hearing. And when the parole violators hearing started at 10 o'clock, and we never finished till like 6 o'clock at night. And when we finished at 6 o'clock at night, they asked me if I needed anything out of my cell. And I said no, and I didn't even go back to my cell, and they walked me to the gate. And there's more to that story still. But what this story is beyond your comprehension of government corruption and cover-up. And they locked me. Eventually they turned me loose, okay? They didn't turn me loose that night, even though they knew they had no jurisdiction. They wanted some DNA that they had no jurisdiction over in the first place, and I'm a hard-headed guy, and I'm like, and it's not that I'm hiding my DNA, it's just like, you have no right to it, and I'm not gonna give it to you. And they held me down, eventually had a court date, they released. But anyway, I was in California, and I had my criminal cases still in review in the courts of Kansas, and they turn around and tell me I'm a parole violator because a piece of mail got returned. And I reported I was supposed to in California. It's a complicated story. It's all in the thousands of documents I filed, but they wanted me back. And I think I had 50 days to serve when they issued the warrant, Kansas did, to drag me out of California. And this is at the same time I met the super cops, and it was in 2004. They introduced me to like birds. You know, you got birds that watch you. I really do follow birds, and birds is associated with Homeland Security. And you see, in California, I could trust those birds. I mean, real live birds. You don't have a clue what's going on out there. You see, they got that technology. They know everything going on. You see, and Han can't have a better technology than they have because they got the same technology. They're just not doing nothing and associating themselves with it. They're not taking a stand. And when I met these people that called themselves super cops, I started learning government intelligence, communications, stuff like that. And the next thing you know, I end up in jail, and I got 40 days to serve. You can check the records. I served 76 days, and it was in San Bernardino County, California. And I removed the case to a federal judge, the federal courthouse in Riverside or LA, but it's the same district. And they come back, and you can check the records, because that's where the treason complaint come in 2004. In the San Bernardino County Superior Court in San Bernardino County. And it's titled California versus Gilbert, Craig Gilbert. And I filed a treason complaint because it was treason, what they were doing. And because I really am into like the United States Constitution, actually the Declaration of Independence is where I stand. But I spent 76 days in that jail filing a notice of removal saying, hey, you look at these fools, what they did. You see what they did over here in California? They got in a conspiracy. They locked me up in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1581 federal anti-penal statutes over a breach of contract. A breach of contract is not a criminal offense. And I was charged in the criminal capacity and maliciously prosecuted, locked in cells, denied right of representation. There ain't no representation anywhere in the world. And I was released after I filed that criminal complaint to the federal courthouse. The federal courts just snacked it. They stamped it, and you can check that San Bernardino file. It says received, returned, and they returned it back to the court. And they called me to court one day, and they released me. They released me in custody, and the judge released me and said, what's going on? Me downstairs later, and like, Craig, what's going on here? And I'm like, well, at that point, it was like, really what I so it'd take me about 2. We still rush, and we ain't even past 2004. You see, and we're in 4 now. And they said, you need anything out of your cell? I said, oh, I don't need nothing out of my cell. I was released yesterday, and they released me. Some months and months went by, and the case was dismissed. And one day, I'm driving down the street, and I'm back into this government stuff. I was in a motel room. Cops come to the motel room, and next thing you know, they're like talking to the woman that was in that motel room, and they asked me my name. I give them my name, and they said, we got a warrant for you out of Kansas. And that was the first The second one is when I got arrested in Riverside County, California, and they were, hey, we already hashed this San Bernardino's, but they'd actually used their agency to get me into the next county. I lost 2 trucks, clothes. I lost everything. I keep losing everything. I lost it all again, but I'll live through it. But this time I wasn't released, and Kathleen Sebelius, officers, Kansas officers, to California on her jet that you paid for, all that fuel, and they don't extradite that way. But what they did is they went off and sent those officers, when I had less than 50 days to serve on my sentence, to California, picked me up, brought me back to Kansas, and put that chip in my arm and had me go through some hearings and stuff. And when I was in the violation hearing after I got sent back, there's a man in the room, and he's got a badge, ID card on, and he's like sitting there, and he's like, I don't want to hear nothing out of you. And I said, you got a recorder that you don't want to hear? And when I walked in the room, I'd already seen, like when they took me to the airport, there was 3 cars behind me and 2 in front of me. And when they took me to the airport, like I was some gangster dude that, might escape on them or something. And I wasn't even charged with nothing but a parole violation. But anyway, that's how you know that there's a problem here, is you got 46 days to serve. He already served the 76 fighting you, got released, and the KDOC changed their records. So we don't know where he is, didn't put down, hey, that man was released, had a paper. No, they wanted to keep messing with me. And that's when Phil Klein was the Attorney General. And they brought me back here, and they knew that my conviction violated 18 U.S.C. 1581, federal anti-peonage statute, and they covered it up. And this man is sitting in this hearing. Next thing you know, he's looking over my shoulder at this other guy, and there's only one person in there, and his eyes get big as silver dollars. He says, what's going on here? And I looked at him, I said, pointed over my shoulder at that guy. I never ever turned around, and I said, you need to ask him what's going on. So anyway, here we are in 2005, and this little super cop case starts. And they got me arrested. I broke into this truck because there was U.S. mail on it, on the dash, and the night before on a computer, I was told, hey, they said, we're sending you a truck, man. It's white, it's got a backpack, it's a backpack you're going to be taken care of. And I walked out of this truck, I looked at it, I snapped the door, checked the mail, and I'm like, grab the CDs, because there's some CDs there, and it says F you, Kid Rock, the one that's got the finger on it, said F you, and then those CDs said, let me see you get yourself out of this, and the third CD said, stay hungry. I grabbed those 3 CDs, walked to the house next door, and handed it to them, and said, what is this? And I think you need to call the cops. I turned myself into this person and said, here, and here's your CDs. You know what they did, right? They took all the and I guess it was supposed to be in the file stuff. I've never looked, but I went to jail charged with ever a felony. Remember what happened on that case? I haven't thought about it till just now, and I never thought about those CDs now, but it's all in the records for all these years. So I'm going to go ahead and end this at 38 minutes, and we'll get into the rest of this later. But your kids are at the mercy of the government, and this stuff is planting bad seeds in your kids' head. My little nieces and my nephews and everybody were scared to death in 2021, and here we are again having this same problem. And your kids are in jeopardy, and the government's covering it up again. Your governor, Kathleen Sebelius, or not, Kathleen Sebelius, Laura Kelly. Yeah, go to her damn page, and all she does is talk that delusional stuff. Is that delusional stuff going to protect your kids from these extremists? Why don't you call all those people up over there in Minneapolis and now in Salina, because in the last month, they took Salina, Kansas hostage too, but I put a stop to that in a fashion, but it's going to come back here real soon. So why don't you get those checkbooks out and send me some cash so I can get me a little robot for protection and go fight your wars if your government don't want to fight. Why don't you open your mouths and tell these government officials what they did to your kids and why are they giving your country away? And let me tell you one more thing. That Capitol on January 6th that was attacked wasn't because of Trump, and that's a lie too. That was over this case that's been building up in the media forever, and those people had those clothes on representing your pinks, your purples, and they were there because of what's been going on in that media. They blame Trump for that. And if you don't think that election was rigged, you guys got another thing coming, because I don't think you understand the high-tech technology that they don't need to be there. When I was in Minneapolis, Kansas, and this mind-reading chip proves it, I was sitting in a gas station and the pump turned on by itself. Okay? Yeah, that burned me to death. There's your kids for you. You want their hands cut off? You want to live in this life in fear? Are you going to give this country away so your kids don't have a country to live in anymore? You're all a bunch of punks, man. You don't stand for an American flag. You don't stand on the Bible. This is back in the Revolution stuff. This is where we got to go to war, just like in 1776 and overthrow that government. That Declaration of Independence, when we went to war against Britain, is still in effect against those evil spirits. And that's where I stand and say I have the right to stand up and do what I have to do. But if I speak that law, that it's still an active war, yeah, I end up in a mental institution because there is no fair trial. And you people need to pull your heads up out of your butts, and you need to understand that Biden, that administration, this started way back with George Bush, and Biden, or not Biden, but Obama spent 8 years in his administration being exploited by him. Then Trump came in, and now Biden came back in. So we got 8, 12, 16 years. And Biden ain't set me free enough. Now he's senile and going home. Let his White House get taken, and you all seen it. You have a great day. My name's Craig Ivan Gilbert. PayPal. We're going to start a GoFundMe page under Jesus Got Off Easy. I'll have it up in the next few days. Yeah. Help with those finances. I really do need a robot and an armored car and a flamethrower. I probably won't get away with the flamethrower, but you all have a great day. God bless you all.